Today, I have my friend Ben Kogut with me. Ben Kogut is a partner and head of investor relations for HJH Investments. HJH protects and then grows investor capital through commercial real estate syndications. The investments include industrial buildings, shopping centers, and office buildings, which is typically anchored by high credit tenants with long-term leases throughout the United States. HJH has over 300 million assets under management. And Ben has also written an ebook called 5 Things to Consider When Investing in Real Estate Syndications. So let's dive in, Ben. So tell me about yourself. How do you see yourself right now at present, professionally as well as personally?
Well, thank you for the opportunity to join the podcast. And so I'm living my best life. Not going to lie. Professionally, I am having the time of my life raising capital and teaching people about the benefits of investing in commercial real estate syndications. So that's been a lot of fun. And then personally, just got a puppy yesterday and living here in Austin, Texas, where I'm happily in a relationship with my girlfriend and feeling healthy and happy and enjoying life. My background is historically as a commercial real estate broker. Worked for a big company after graduated from the University of Texas in 2004. Worked my way up the ranks, got my CCIM, which is a commercial real estate prestigious designation. I was the youngest person ever to get it here in Austin.
Nice.
That was back in 2006. Fast forward, I decided to go back and continue my education in 2010-11. I went and got my MBA from a very non-traditional MBA here in Austin that was very focused on entrepreneurship. Mm-hmm. And then from there, I went to work for a high net worth family office, learning the ins and outs of running and owning a large portfolio of commercial real estate. And then once that ran its course, it was time for me to jump off and do my own. So I started a brokerage company. I started developing, and then I also started investing. And the investing path is really what excited me the most. And so I invested first with HJH Investments, which is now where I'm a partner. So spoiler alert, I built a relationship with the founder and CEO, Corey Harkleroad. And Corey and I got to know each other for a couple of years, and then he made me an offer I couldn't refuse to join the company as a partner and help him with investor relations and raising capital. And really what I didn't know about myself was that I love to teach. So now I have an opportunity to teach others about passive income. And a lot of people out there that are in the syndication space, they talk a lot about multifamily or perhaps mobile homes or storage units, things like that. We took a different path. We focus exclusively on commercial real estate that has triple net leases, like shopping centers and office buildings or industrial properties. And lately, we've been also buying quite a bit of medical as well.
So you think this industrial space is even smaller than the multifamily or the self-storage?
So,
from perspective?
I mean, honestly, I think it is. I think that, I'm not here to bash multifamily, but I do think that people are missing that, this is a cyclical business. And I would argue that we are towards the top of the cycle when it comes to multifamily, and that we're nowhere near the top of the cycle when it comes to shopping centers, especially office buildings. People really have been very against office buildings. And we have learned based on many acquisitions and the deals that we already own, that office has been a very, very lucrative business. And so we could protect our investors' capital by buying really high quality, oftentimes suburban office buildings that already have long-term leases in place. And we buy these deals close to a 10 cap. And so if something was to occur in the economy, we have enough margin in there to be able to weather the storm. And so, right now I'm raising my hand and I'm saying there is a tremendous amount of opportunity to invest in office, retail, and industrials. We've bought a lot of industrial. We have But right now, industrial is closer to the top of the cycle right now, so it's been harder for us to be able to justify acquiring industrial. But office and retail has been phenomenal for us.
So how different is it, the single tenant versus the shopping center? Is there a huge difference when you're looking at the two asset classes?
Yes. And so let's talk about single tenant. Single tenant, one of the first things that we look at is the unit economics of the tenant that is occupying the real estate that we're looking to acquire. And so what I mean by that is we actually have to underwrite the business of the tenant. And so we will look all the way down to how many widgets or services does that tenant have to sell in order to break even, in order to be able to afford to pay the rent to us, the landlord, which in turn turns around and pays monthly dividends to our investors, so on and so forth. And so that's how we look at it from a single tenant. On a multi-tenant, it's actually the same thing, but we are able to diversify the cash flows amongst multiple tenants. So then we can determine, we analyze basically the different lease terms, the different the bumps per lease. We'll look at all the credit of all the different tenants. Oftentimes, the criteria that we're looking for is we want at least 30% of the tenants to have at least BBB credit. So that's a really good high credit, aka they're a really good tenant, with at least 5 years of lease term remaining upon the day that we acquire. So we know the day that we buy that shopping center, how much cash flow is coming in, and therefore we can structure a deal to pay dividends to our investors right away. The first month, they're going to get a check because we have money coming into the property right away. I'm not seeing that as a contrast. I'm not seeing that in other asset classes like multifamily or storage units and things like that. It's not common that the month after the deal is closed that the investors are going to start seeing dividends. So I like that personally. I invest in all these deals, and I am definitely excited about the fact that I personally get monthly dividends because I personally invest in these deals.
The single tenant has a similar scenario that you are able to give the dividends day one.
Correct.
First month.
Yeah, they're paying the landlord rent, so might as well go ahead and turn around and make the distributions.
So buying the shopping center is not much different than the single family tenant, right? Is it like, how we say economies of scale in the multifamily? So how is that term applicable on the shopping centers?
Yeah, it's same kind of idea. Yeah, you diversify the revenues amongst a bunch of tenants versus one tenant. So it's a more complex underwriting process. It mitigates the risk because if you lose, a single tenant for some reason, you're gonna probably have some challenges ahead of you. But if you lose one or two tenants in a multi-tenant shopping center, it's still cash flow positive, and it depends on the size of the tenants, of course, but it often is cash flow positive, and just another way to mitigate risk.
You mentioned the term BBB credit. What is BBB credit?
So there are credit rating agencies that assign credit, like Standard & Poor's, things like that. And so we'll follow their guidance on what they rate the credit of the tenants to be. But in general, BBB is considered really good quality tenant.
From my investor perspective, if I wanted to invest one of your deals in the shopping center, what would it look like? Can you walk me through that?
Yeah, sure. So first it starts with, being an accredited investor. And, do we need to get into that? Basically, you have to have at least $1 million in net worth or at least $200,000 of annual income for the last 2 years. That's a government definition. So let's assume you check that box, and let's say you're interested in being a passive investor in a commercial real estate syndication. And so it would be meeting you and I face to face, building a relationship, me sharing with you some educational materials. We created some videos that go into detail about how we operate our business, how and why we find the deals that we find. and why we do and how we do our due diligence and what happens if something doesn't go according to plan. And we want to make sure that everyone is fully up to date on how all the ins and outs of it go. And then you'll get on my investor list. And then once we have a deal, and we do about 8 to 10 deals a year, so it's not quite every other month, every few months or so. It's not, but yeah, we have quite a bit of deal flow. And then if you like the deal, you'll get the investor deck. You'll be able to see everything from soup to nuts. If you like it, then you call me up and say, hey, I want to invest. And then we take the next steps. And then once the deal is closed, we get everyone set up for auto deposit, and you will, get a monthly email from us saying, hey, you're about to get a deposit in your bank account. And then on the 15th of every month, you get it. And then 4 times a year, we're going to provide you with an update on the property. You're going to get the latest cash flow statement and balance sheet and a narrative on what's happening. Like we have a roof leak, or we had a landscaping issue, or we lost a tenant, or we got a tenant, or whatever's happening.
Just like usual.
And then that's it. And then you'll get another bonus dividend typically. And that's it. You just you're passive. You don't have to do anything. If you have any questions, you call me. I'm available to answer questions about the property or what's ever happening. And that's it. It's passive income, and it's mailbox money, however you want to call it. And there's a lot of nice, not only the fact that you're getting money while you sleep, but also there's some pretty substantial tax benefits to being an investor in commercial real estate as well. And those are some of the benefits of what we do.
Earlier, you mentioned that you're good at capital raising and it's coming very easy to you. We'd like to understand from you, what kind of techniques or tricks have you used throughout your journey to make it like a little bit more seamless and easy to raise capital, if you can share that?
Yeah, so there's a few things that I would say to that. Number one, just being genuine, being myself, being somebody who is experienced so that I can educate and teach people. And so I've already mentioned that, but really I think the most important mindset to have when raising capital is to be indifferent. And what I mean by that is I am not here to push you, Mr. or Mrs. Investor, into a deal. I'm indifferent. I'm not here to sell you. I'm here to educate you. I'm here to share with you about what I think are the benefits, the pros and the cons, everything in between. And therefore, I don't want anybody to feel pressure to come into a deal. So I am completely indifferent. It does not matter to me whether you decide to invest. It doesn't matter. That's up to you. I don't know all the ins and outs about what your financial situation is, about your family goals and things like that. So when I take, I think a lot of people make the mistake about being really eager and trying to push somebody to invest in a deal. And I think that is a recipe for a disaster. And so as a capital raiser, just be indifferent, like really just like, cool, you want in? Great. If not, that's cool too. Don't sweat it. We'll have other deals, so like, that's my thought process on that.
That's so true. I agree with you 100%. Just be yourself. And you don't want to push anybody, because people like to work with their own rules, because everybody has a set of rules that they follow. And it's easy to follow your own rules or your own guidelines. Let them be the decision maker of their own money, because they know what they wanted to do with their money, because nobody likes that when somebody else make a decision for you. Okay, you should invest here, invest there. That's a really good strategy. What else worked for you in the capital raising?
Yeah, so I travel a lot. I make it a point to, put my hand in other people's hands and connect with people. Even throughout the pandemic, I've not stopped traveling. Within, still trying to be careful, but I just think that, showing up is, they say showing up is half the battle. I think it's more than half the battle. And so I go to a lot of investor conferences. I go to all the properties that we acquire. I personally, I'll fly a drone and we'll create, little videos on all the assets that we look to acquire, so that we can make it as easy as possible for somebody who hasn't been physically there to understand everything and anything about the assets that we're looking to acquire. And so full transparency. The other thing that we do that I don't see other people really doing a lot is we publish two things every quarter. Number one, we publish every deal that we've acquired.
Mm-hmm.
And number two, we publish every quarter how they've performed to the decimal. So we'll say, hey, this is what we performed, what the performance would be, and this is what the actual reality has been.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's good or bad, every single quarter, people will get to see how we're performing.
So you send the quarterly reports as well as the monthly reports?
So the quarterly reports go to all the investors. I'm saying publicly, if somebody wanted to see how we're doing on all of our portfolio, we have a document that is just like line by line. This is what we thought the deal would perform like. This is what the reality is. And we just update it every quarter because that's just when we do it. It'd be too hard to do it every month. So, I personally don't know anybody else that is as transparent as that.
Wow, that's very good strategy. I really like that. So let me ask you this. What was your first raise like when you came into this team and your first deal? Hard. So tell me that experience. What was that like?
Oh man. It's like, banging your head against the wall. You get to learn a lot of lessons. You get to make a lot of mistakes. Yeah, definitely like those people who are very wealthy, who I've known since childhood, those are the people I went to first. And I thought, yeah, easy, I'll get some money out of them, no problem. But no, like it was not the case at all. That was really, really frustrating. It was really some people that I didn't expect at all, who I mentioned it to them. I offered them an opportunity to invest. They invested and I was like, I guess my philosophy on that one, and hopefully I don't put my foot in my mouth with this, but I think that, people who are wealthy and, they're known to be wealthy, people pitch them deals all the time. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so it turns out that they're actually less likely to be investors because they probably just see so many deals, or they just have an opinion, or they're just kind of like stuck in their ways, which is fine. Like I'm not bashing that, but I think the people that, aren't as, out there with it, they really appreciate that I brought them a really great deal for them to invest in. And yeah, that was a surprise. Actually, first time I'm kind of articulating this, but I think that at the end of the day, like just in sharing, I think just being a genuine sharer, just sharing with people about what it is I'm up to, whether it be through the podcasting or through sharing on LinkedIn or social media. It's actually just been a very positive experience. I think that, I'm almost 40. I think people our age or older are not used to this world of sharing through social media or this podcast medium or whatever. And I think that it's the world that we're in right now. And so I applaud you for having a podcast and sharing it. I know it's a lot of work to put these together. So bravo to you. And just about 2 months ago, I did the same thing. I started a podcast. I call it the Real Estate Niche Show. And I've just been having a blast interviewing people who are the best at whatever their real estate niche is. And yeah, just having fun with it and trying to create content to, share the wisdom that I've learned from others along the way. And so I think I high five to you for taking that extra step, because most people talk about it, but don't actually do it. So I think that's wonderful.
Thank you for saying that. I really appreciate that. Any bad experience you had with any of the deals?
Yeah, of course.
How did you overcome that? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good question. Yeah, love this question. So yeah, we've definitely had situations where we bought probably the worst deal we did is we bought a building in the Detroit, Michigan area. Mm-hmm. We had a couple tenants leave earlier than we expected. We knew that one would leave, the other one we didn't expect. And so we were unfortunately in a situation where we had to kind of hit the brakes on paying preferred returns so that we could conserve the capital within the deal. And so we took that capital, we ended up renovating the lobby, renovating some of the office space. We hired a new leasing company, and now we're in the process of getting those spaces all leased back up again. But it's definitely been a rocky road towards getting that building restabilized. But luckily, the way that we structure our deals are we have tremendous amounts of reserves on every property, just in case, just to protect the investors. And so we were able to reinvest, and now that ship is starting to turn the right direction. But you know, it takes a lot of time and effort and energy from our team to get that set up. But yeah, that's just one example.
How did the investors respond when you said no preferred returns or no returns for a couple of months or a quarter?
Yeah, they understand that, you know, there's always risk in any type of investment. They, you know, the preferred return, it'll just accrue, right? So
you catch up.
They'll get it. Yeah, we'll catch it back up eventually. But you know, that's just how the business works.
Do you say you're in education, or do you run any mentorship program too, or is this like all free education?
Yeah, I started actually at the beginning of the pandemic. I started a mastermind group. We call it the Next Level Mastermind. It turns out I actually didn't want to charge, so I don't charge anything. I just wanted to create a small group of people who are like-minded and pushing themselves both personally and professionally to take it to the next level. So that's one. Number two, I mentioned the Real Estate Niche Show podcast. That's another thing. We've created ebooks, we've created educational videos. Those are on our website, hjhinvestments.com. We created a blog where I share some case studies and some lessons learned along the way. So yeah, and then, you know, I do quite a bit of like public speaking. I share with people about this particular niche of raising capital for commercial real estate syndications that is not in the multifamily space. And yeah, those are just a few things that we get to do.
You've been doing multiple things. It's not few things. Mastermind program, educating people, public speaking, you know, every opportunity that you get, you're trying to educate or share knowledge with others. So how did you develop that mindset, or how did you think I should do that to put my face out there? It's kind of a marketing technique.
You know, I think it just came naturally, or maybe, you know, I could thank my father, my grandparents. They were all in different, my dad was a dentist, but he was very much not just a normal dentist with, you know, like he would carve out large chunks of his practice to be able to educate the parents, because it was a pediatric dentistry practice, about how to, you know, best practices for health, for oral health, for dental health. And I don't know, I think it's just part of who I am. And honestly, I didn't know that about myself until I started doing it. And so I just love creating content and just trying to help people. And, you know, I feel like, you know, this is wisdom that my mentors have taught me, and it doesn't belong to me. It's mine to pass on. And so, you know, there is this Jewish phrase called tikkun olam, which translates to healing the world. And I think that education is the best way to do that. And so I'm always looking for new ways to do that.
You said your mentors. So were you part of a mentorship program, or any particular mentor that you're referring to?
No program. Just lucky enough to have surrounded myself with some really successful, experienced commercial real estate mentors, just friends of mine who are willing to help guide me along the way. I learned back when I was in high school that it's better to copy genius than create mediocrity. And so I have looked and sought out who I call geniuses in the industry who are very, very successful. And the truth of the matter is, most people who are at that level are more than willing to help and mentor and guide. And so I've found that I guess I just created my own mentorship program without anything official.
When you say all these geniuses are the top cream in the industry, they don't care, they love to share knowledge. So what do you see different in them versus the average people? Like, so this level and there's this level. So what is that? Do you see any difference in the mindset between the two?
Definitely. They are all people who also seek wisdom. They seek education. They read a lot of books. They are willing to take risks. They're willing to learn from their mistakes and surround themselves with great people. And so that's frankly what I have chosen to do for myself as well. Mm-hmm. And, they are not afraid of, facing a problem and figuring out what the solution is.
So they're open to receiving. Yeah, right. They're more open to receiving. They're not fearful. They're just like, if I give away this knowledge or this piece of advice, I'm not going to lose anything, like more like abundance mindset.
So I'll push back on one little detail there. I wouldn't say they're not fearful. I think that everyone has fears. One of my mentors named Jason Mittman, who has a commercial real estate company called onlyepic.com. Jason actually taught me something called fear setting, which I believe is something he might have picked up from Tim Ferriss or something like that. But basically, he helped me think through, okay, well, what are my biggest fears, right? And then you say, well, maybe it's dying or getting cancer or blah, 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 whatever your biggest fears are. And then walking step by step, okay, what are the steps we can take to mitigate the risk of whatever that such and such fear is? And from there, you can actually create goals and steps towards making yourself a better person or whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. And so, yeah, just some lessons that I've learned from Jason along the way.
I like that. So what is your biggest fear?
I think my biggest fear is probably irrational, but my biggest fear is getting blamed or in trouble or something for something that I didn't do. That's probably one of my biggest fears.
But that's not a big fear either, right?
No, I don't. It doesn't
unnecessary
really drive my
fear.
life. I don't know. Like I live a very healthy lifestyle. I recently had a touch of skin cancer on my nose and got that sorted out. Fear of, family illness or death. That's something that's real that's going on for me right now, to be honest, with my grandfather. Mostly stuff like that.
Yeah, mostly everybody has those kind of fears, those are kind of legitimate fears because losing somebody in the family is always going to be there no matter what. What is your biggest why?
Well, the first thing that came to mind is I love to have fun. And I just seek out opportunities to invite people to have fun with me along the way. I'm always having fun. So that's why I do what I do, because I just want to have fun.
That's so true. I like that. See, when you're having fun, you accomplish more. Life is all about that too, right? Enjoy, have fun. Why get serious? We're going to be serious when we die anyways, right?
I feel happy when I'm having fun, and anybody that knows me knows that I love to have fun.
That's great. So one golden nugget for my audience.
One golden nugget. Ooh, that's a tough one. I think that I'm going to go back to what I said a second ago, which is that it's better to copy genius than create mediocrity. And so I would encourage everybody and anybody to find somebody in your life that you can personally, that you really, really are inspired by, that you really respect, and be near them, contribute to them, learn from them, and then just be generous with whatever it is that you get from them or with them or to them. And so at the end of the day, it's about relationships, it's about people, and whatever path you want to go on, find the best person at that path, copy them, and then continue to share whatever you learn along the way. And so that's how I live my life, and I would encourage everybody to do the same.
I think that's a really good one, because why reinvent the wheel? There's nothing in this world that hasn't done before you. So don't try to reinvent the wheel. Just follow the path. It's already carved. Tweak it according to you. Love it.
Yeah,
so much.
yeah. Make it your own. I'm not saying not to be creative or go out and try new things, but there's definitely you could cut through the cobwebs a lot quicker if you're willing to follow that path of someone else that's just a little bit further down the trail than you are.
That's so true. And plus, you cannot possibly make all the mistakes yourself in this lifetime because the life is too short. You have to learn from others' experiences. That's a really good advice. So this brings us to our rapid fire round. I'm going to ask you 5 questions. You have to answer in 1 word or 1 sentence only.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Do it. I don't know. We'll find out.
All right. Who's the most influential person in your life?
The most influential person in my life is my father. My father has been a pediatric dentist for over 45 years. And at the age of 69, he's now 70, he retired from dentistry and is now a student earning his master's in architecture. So he went back to school. He didn't retire. He is now getting his butt kicked, getting a master's degree. And ultimately, he wants to help dentists design better dental practices. And again, he is one of the leading people that taught me that education is the most important thing in the world. And he's putting his money where his mouth is, so to speak, and continuing his education as opposed to sitting on the beach drinking margaritas or whatever that people talk about in retirement. So he has no desire to retire, and frankly, nor do I.
Wow, YOLO, right? You only live once. So do whatever you can. Why waste time?
Exactly.
What is the best book you ever read or recommend?
The best book is written by Viktor Frankl. Man's Search for Meaning. So that's the best book I've ever read, and I think everybody should read it.
That's good. What is your biggest passion?
So my biggest passion is having fun. Pretty much every day I get to go to sleep and I'll find something to have fun with, whether it be just got a new puppy, or I do a lot of athletic things. I love my job. I love teaching. I play piano, go to a lot of music, outdoors a lot. So that's my answer, just having fun.
Good, living the life. I love it. In 1 word, what does life mean to you? 1 word only this time.
Relationships.
Good one.
Yeah.
Good. What is your favorite food?
Parmesan cheese.
Oh, good. So how can people reach out to you?
That was fun. Thank you. Sure. So you can find me through our website, hjhinvestments.com. My email is ben@hjhinvestments.com. If you want to check out the ebook, 5 Things to Consider When Investing in Commercial Real Estate Investments, you'll learn about the 4 rules of cash and all sorts of different things that you've probably never considered when investing. That's hjhinvestments.com/book. I'm on all the social media and LinkedIn, and my last name is spelled, my first name is Ben. My last name is spelled Kogut. So at Ben Kogut on all your socials. And that's how you can find me.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you.